Welcome back to Spencer Tarot. In this lesson, we're going to discuss the meaning of the suit of coins. Coins are sometimes also represented in tarot cards as discs or pentacles, represents the element of earth. When we're dealing with earth, we are dealing with the basic aspects of living. Therefore, we are dealing with finances to be able to support ourselves. We are dealing with shelter. We are dealing with food and basic needs. But usually in modern times, when we talk about the suit of coins, we are talking about our consciousness concerning wealth, or lack, or abundance, and our ability to attract that. The suit of coins is also represented in the Earth zodiac signs of Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. If you look at my photo artwork, that says Spencer Tarot, the suit of coins, you see a distinguished gentleman surrounded, obviously, by coins, by wealth, by gold, by silver. And one of our aspects of what we want to strive for in life is also being able to attract this abundance to be comfortable. Obviously, we all want to have beautiful homes. We want to have luxury. We want to, be taken care of. And this is part of the human experience. And our decision making will either attract or repel that. Obviously, people that have the opportunity to become more well-educated tend to make more money. Not always, but that's an indication. So this could also be study, college, university, developing the mind to allow for you to be successful, learning business skills, and learning and making decisions that put you in an advantageous place on this earth. And these cards, 1 through 10 of the suit of coins, represent different things that we can learn to make that come to fruition so we live a successful life. Welcome back to the Spencer Tarot. We're going to look at the first card of coins, the Ace of Coins, sometimes referred to the Ace of Pentacles or the Ace of Discs. When you pull this card in a reading, it's the start of something new towards success. So this could mean making a decision to go to college and study for a career that you have a passion in. This could be starting a new job. This could be saving and getting out of debt. So the Ace of Discs represents energy to start bringing success to you as a new beginning. And it means several things. It means you can attain that success by being grounded and practical and organizing, or having organization, and also strong physical discipline in your life. So again, aspects of Ace of Discs is being financially responsible and learning that. So meaning, are you the young person who's got their first job and then you go blow all your money on the weekend partying? Or are you thinking about your future and say, okay, I have a job now, let me put 20% of that away, start saving in the bank, and looking for new opportunities to build a little extra income on the side and start making plans to move forward? Do you invest in your future? That's part of the Ace of Discs. It's so interesting. I have so many people that get caught up in lack consciousness, and then they end up never getting anywhere in their life. Here's an example of what I mean by that. I'll get people that call me up saying, I want to be an actor. I have a passion for this. And then I said, okay, well, you need to take lessons. You're going to need to get headshots. You're going to need to invest in a web portfolio. You're going to need to have a good car to get to auditions. You're going to need to get an agent and do a little traveling. And the first thing out of their mouth is, oh my gosh, that sounds expensive. And I say, well, it's paying your dues. And if, so maybe, while you're becoming an actor, a lot of people, take different jobs. A lot of my students maybe are working as waiters and waitresses while they're starting to, build up, and then maybe they get a little bit more stronger in their acting ability, and they start making a little money from acting roles, and they put that and reinvest that back into their career, and they get where they want to go. So it's about that practical, having a game plan and mapping it out. And if you are in lack consciousness, I can't afford it, or this is going to, or you're in lack of laziness, which is not having physical discipline, you're never going to get anywhere. It's so amazing that when I teach, I have amazing students that have accomplished incredible things from nothing. I've had students from disadvantaged families that are on Broadway now. I have highly successful musicians that study with me that are touring the world as artists. And then I have those people that are in constant complaint and are lazy. I'm just going to say it. And if you're lazy and make excuses for yourself, you're never getting anywhere in life. And it's so interesting when I'll have a student and I'll say, okay, have your homework done. Then they come to me, did you do your homework? Well, I decided to go out with my friends and party on the weekend. I overslept, and excuse. And those people end up, working remedial jobs well into their 30s or 40s and never get anywhere. So this is a life lesson of being grounded and practical. Some people are luckily brought up with a good foundation from their parents in this, and other people unfortunately never learn this, and it's not their fault. But then if that's the case, it's never too late to learn, to model people that it's, that you want to be. One thing that I was very fortunate to learn very early on in life is that if you want to be abundant, you need to feel abundant. And it was always interesting, even when I had $60,000 worth of student loan debt and I wasn't making a lot of money, I lived around wealthy people. I chose cities and areas where I would look out my window and go, okay, I'm near $1 million mansions. And because I felt wealthy, I attracted wealth. And that's part of your consciousness. When you go out, even if you don't have a lot of money, do you take pride in your appearance? Do you keep your car nice and clean? And, are you driving around, looking sloppy? The way you present yourself will affect what you're able to attract. And the Ace of Discs is all about the start of that. The start of, okay, let me be practical with money. Let's make sure I'm not debting. Let me dress nice. Let me learn how to meet people and network. Let me become stronger in myself. Let me eat right so I have plenty of energy to move towards my goals. And the Ace of Discs, again, is energies of the signs of Taurus. Taurus tend to be very good at attracting wealth. My dad was a Taurus. He was a millionaire. Virgos tend to have physical discipline. My mom is 90 years old and looks like $1 million. And Capricorns, like any Capricorn I ever known, is always wealthy. I have twin sisters. They're very well off. One of my sisters is retired with a beautiful home in Hawaii. It's like they attract that wealth. They're practical. And we can learn from being practical. And that's what the Ace of Discs is teaching us, to get started moving in that direction. The Two of Coins. Change. If you notice, in my card, we see this woman who is getting older, and she's reflecting on how her life has changed. And that's what this represents. Two is change. Usually when we pull this card, we're in the middle of a major transition in life, but we're sort of caught in the middle between the old and the new. So it could be I'll give you an example. Someone is offered a better position and they need to move out of the state, and they're packing up and saying goodbye and finding a new place, and they're in limbo, but they're moving towards something new. Change is scary for a lot of people. It means upheaval, and it also can mean a little bit of chaos before something becomes better. And that's what this card represents. It's sort of like you're in a major transition in your life and you're bringing in more positive new expansion and opportunities, but you don't want to fight or be afraid of the change. This is a hard lesson for many people, including myself. I remember a big risk I took. I was very unhappy as a university professor. I was working 60 hours a week and being treated disrespectfully. I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning and drive to the college, and all this commuting and traffic and stress and blah, blah, blah. And I just knew that I was miserable. And yet my whole life up to then, for the past 10 years of getting my degrees, was like, I just want to be a college professor in music, and this is my passion. And so I spent 10 years of college study to become a college professor. And then when I became a college professor, I wasn't happy. And it was like, now what do I do? And it took a little while to figure out, like, well, what do I want? I want to work from home. I want to work with the people I want to work with. I want to teach the way I want to teach. I want to charge what I believe I deserve. And I, want to, like I said, I just want to be in control. And I remember when I left the college, I have no income. I'm in a lot of debt because I'm still paying off student loans, and I'm scared shitless, and how am I going to make this work? And I went through a couple of difficult years of starting over, basically. And as I did that, though, things started to come in, and now it was the best thing I ever did, because I look at my life now and I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And I don't even feel like I work. I work a 25-hour week. I make double what I made in the university. And I'm having fun with my passion. But to get to that place I'm at now, I had to go through some serious, scary things. I remember after my first husband passed away, I thought he was my soulmate. I said, I'm never going to find love again. And I had to change that thinking and put myself out there and take some risks. And I did meet some amazing partners. I was with my second husband before he passed for 10 years as well. And it was a very different relationship than my first husband. But what was interesting is it was a whole new experience, and I grew from that. I had another relationship after that. That was, 5 years. And that was a completely different person too. And so it's about, when we go through change, it can be scary. And sometimes that change means taking a risk and being patient with ourselves in the temporary chaos before we settle into something new. And if you look at this woman in my cards, she's a merchant. And maybe, if you see behind her, she, has this beautiful shop of things behind her, and maybe she was the owner of that shop. You see her with her jewelry and her pocket watch, and maybe it's time to retire. Now what? And she is proud of what she's accomplished, but now it's like, okay, how do I transition into a new part of my life? And maybe it's going to be fabulous. Maybe it's like, okay, now I've saved up some money and I want to go get a little cottage on the ocean. I want to take up, crocheting. I want to do a little traveling. I, want to have time to just sit and read and relax without all the burdens of running a big business. And it's scary at first, but it could be the best thing. So that's what this card is about. It's about positive change, but not fighting the change and not letting the fear when you're in change get the best of you. So a lot of it is about reframing what you tell yourself. Now to one of my favorite cards of the coin suit, and that is the Three of Coins, or the Three of Discs, and we call it Works. And what this represents is someone that has decided on their passion in life, and they are working towards it. So this could be the university student that is enjoying the process of new beginnings and learning new things and meeting new people and learning about their career. This could be someone starting a new job. And what I love about this card is this person understands that to get where they want to go, they're going to have to probably work towards it and stick with things. They can't give up. They need endurance, they need tenacity, and they need physical persistence. I love this card. It's a card I greatly understand. And so if you look at my guy, I made him like my type. I think this guy is just gorgeous. We have this handsome blonde thinker. And he's like, I am studying and I am learning. And yes, I might be new to this, but I'm going to map out a great life for myself. And what I've noticed with younger generations now, because of living in the time of social media and instant gratification, is a lot of the younger generations are lacking in this area. It's amazing to me how many students I see that are in their 20s and 30s still living at home with mom and dad and trying to figure out what they want to do. Or people that get so close to their dreams and give up too soon. Or they have some form of self-sabotage. This person understands the hard work. And I see myself in this card. This is definitely me when I was in my younger years. I understood when I was a young kid in junior high school, and my friends would say, hey, you want to come over and play, Pac-Man? And I said, well, maybe later or on the weekend, but I got to go home and practice 2 hours. Why do you want to practice? Oh my God, why do you do that? Well, you know what? I was the one, that was successful. By the time I was a teenager and, all my friends were out partying, I was working and winning international competition. And I was making, I think by 16 at one time, I think I was making $10,000 a month. But that's because I put the hard work in, and I knew that if I did that, that would offer me more opportunities. I was fortunate, I think, to grow up as a Gen Xer. And the Gen X generation of the 80s, if you think about the 80s, it was very much a entrepreneurial go-getter generation. I remember one thing that is, very much inspired me was the movie Fame, about the kids that went to the performing arts school. And lo and behold, on season 4 of Fame, I had a small part singing in that for a couple of episodes. It's just interesting how life goes. And I just remember the motto of Fame that Debbie Allen, the dance teacher, said is, you want fame and fame costs, and this is where you start paying in sweat. And I never forgot that, and I knew I needed to work hard, and I did. And I just think about opportunities that I had that other people didn't have, just because I worked hard. And I think, God, my teenage years were amazing. I was performing at Disneyland at 16, playing ragtime piano and hanging out with Michael Jackson and celebrities and traveling and, buying my own car and buying my own trips to go to the Caribbean. And this is what hard work gives you, the rewards. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand that. So with this card, it's about no matter where you are in life, do you have that tenacity to stay with something when it's hard and not give up and work and learn and model people that are successful to get where you want to go? And that's what this card is about. And I love it. To me, this is the university student. I think about all the years that I was a student, and I loved being a student. Some of the happiest years of my life were when I went to Cal State Fullerton to get my bachelor's and my master's, and I was doing a double major in voice and in keyboard. And oh my God, the artists I got to work with that are now famous people. I went to school with famous opera singers like Deborah Voigt and Rodney Gilfrey and Megan Weston and, Aram Barsamian. And just, these lifelong connections of just amazing people. And remember when we were all just starting out and we were just all kids going to school, and where we all are now. It makes me cry. It's just amazing. And I realized that we were people that I got up at 5 a.m. I got on the road. I had to drive from my house in Newport Beach all the way to school in Cal State Fullerton to be there at 8 a.m. I had lecture classes till noon. I had 1 hour for lunch. I came back. I was in, chamber classes. I go to dinner time, have dinner, and come back and have to do an opera or musical theater rehearsal or a recital. And sometimes I was there from 8 a.m. to 10 at night, and I still worked 3 jobs. As an entertainer, and I was working as a church music director. And yes, I was exhausted, but there was this striving of being alive and living my passion, and the great, amazing, successful things that came out of that. And that's, again, what this card's about. What are you going to choose? Are you going to put the time in to get where you want to go, or are you going to give up? Another favorite coin card is the 4 of Coins, or the 4 of Pentacles, which is power. I love this. I also have to do it with my mom's New York accent. Power. Okay? And with power, in this case, this card deals more with the physicality of Earth. So it means physical potency, forcefulness. It means pregnancy and fertility, being potent, and the ability to be sensual and to attract physically what you want. So for example, this could be like maybe a couple is trying to have children, and we don't know if it's the husband or not, and the husband gets this card, and we go, you're potent right now, you can father a child. Or maybe a woman gets this card, and it could be like, you're fertile right now. So it deals with this kind of physical radiance and sexual potency. Now this can mean and other things as well. So let's say someone's like, well, I'm single, and am I gonna have a fabulous I'm gonna meet someone for a fabulous affair this summer? It's like, yeah, your sexual attraction's off the roof right now, and you're gonna bring something in that's amazing for you. Also, this can be something related to physical endurance. So maybe you're gonna have someone who says, I'm a runner, and am I gonna win the competition? Yeah, you're potent right now. You got tons of energy. You're in the best radiance of your health. So if you look at this card, I have like the super muscular, healthy guy on the card. He's surrounded by the steampunk, generators and lights, and it's just like, I have all this power behind me to move me forward. And again, that's what this card is about. The card is about power, but specifically more physical power, not scholarly power like in works of the last card. Okay, this is dealing more with physicality. And how do we know that? Well, we see the guy with his shirt off with all the muscles. He's obviously works out, right? That's kind of an indicator. So remember when you get get the power card, you're talking about physical power, physical potency, sensuality, the ability to use your beauty or your health to attract vitality and attract people to you and the things you need. Now to our next card, which is a sad card, and that is the Five of Coins. Worry. Worry. And we see this girl who is, probably homeless. She's trying to sell some flowers on the street just to have enough to live on. And she probably came from a family either being orphaned or parents that never told her about abundance. So we can't blame this poor girl for her worry, but it's become a habit that's keeping her locked from manifesting. So the Five of Discs represents worry specifically either over money and finances or health or specific external situations you can't control. And so, for example, someone could be worried about their debt and paying their bills. Someone can be worried about a health issue. Someone can be in fear over a difficult situation with neighbors. And this creates doubt about one's ability to handle it. We don't have with this card self-esteem to say, I can figure it out. We're stuck in the process of the loop of anxiety and worry. I remember me going into this in my 20s. I had, a great marriage. Then when my husband died, I was in college and starting over and mourning his death and kind of alone. And I was always worrying about money, worrying about my health because I was suffering from anxiety attacks, and I would be saying, what if I'm getting a heart attack? What if I die? And just making it worse by staying stuck in a mental loop. Another thing that was happening at that time is I lived in an apartment that when I first moved in, everything was great. And then all of a sudden things changed and I had some very difficult, toxic people around me. One was I had this Mexican gentleman that had a huge family and he had 7 dogs and he didn't take care of his dogs. So they would be in his backyard tied cruelly to trees, barking all day and night. And I would try to call animal control and try to get help. And then I had a backlash of this guy threatening me. I had my tires slashed and all of this worry what's going to happen next and living in fear. I have had a couple of times in my life where I had to deal with stalkers that just would not let up. And what I realized that I learned from that is where I put my energy. With one stalker, one of my good friends who's my massage therapist actually, and also a spiritual teacher, was saying, you're giving it too much energy. Just stop thinking about it and go on with your passion and not give it energy. And it took a while for me to reframe my brain to not be in worry. And then all of a sudden, everything just healed up and all those toxic people were out of my life. And I manifested a new place to live that was 1,000% better. And then the place after that was paradise. I had this incredible home with a partner in Newport Beach with a private beach and just a fabulous place. And just things shifted. But if you are allowing yourself to be in the habit of worry and doubt and pessimism, you don't have true spiritual maturity because you're not co-creating with spirit. You don't recognize that I am God also, and therefore I can allow the universe to serve me. You're caught in I am a victim and the blame game again. Why is this happening to me? And that's what this little girl who doesn't know better is doing. Why are people mean to me? Why doesn't anybody want to sell my flowers? If I can just get, a coin so I can get something to eat. It's lack consciousness. And it's tragic. And, my heart goes out to this poor girl. But it's also what's going to maybe have to happen with her. She's going to have to hit rock bottom. Maybe it's going to take for her to go 3 or 4 days of starving to death before she's like, I need help and I'm going to attract someone to help me. And then maybe she gets adopted and finds a wealthy family to take her in. It's sort of the Annie Warbucks story. I think about, Annie, the orphan in the horrible orphanage being, abused by, what's the name of the character? But, Mrs. Hannigan, she's being abused, and then she meets Daddy Warbucks, and her whole life changes. She becomes, the adopted daughter of a wealthy tycoon, lives in a beautiful penthouse, and has all these a new life. But she had to, grow and do some changes to get to that place, and trust that, with her little dog Sandy, that, hey, maybe tomorrow the sun will come out. You know what I mean? And that's sort of the theme of this, is you got to change your thinking. And you might be in the worst part of your life, but if you think, hey, tomorrow's a new day and things are going to get better, and you have that optimism, then things can get better and you can change your circumstances. And that's what this card's about. So this is sort of the girl on this card, sort of like my little orphan Annie character, okay? And let's have compassion for her, but let's help her change her thinking so she can have the extraordinary life she deserves. Now to one of my favorite cards of the tarot, the Six of Coins, success. And in this card, we see this man who is enjoying the hard work of his life. We see this incredibly distinguished, handsome gentleman with his beautiful, Victorian mansion, and there's abundance. We see the abundance of the beautiful flowers. Everything's in bloom. Life is good. And this is what we all strive for. It's so interesting that my whole life being so connected to the Gothic Victorian look, one of my dreams has been, someday I'm going to live in a beautiful Queen Anne gingerbread Victorian mansion and retire and just enjoy life. And maybe that's going to be somewhere in Central California, like on the cliff over the ocean or something like that. And interestingly enough, I'm not 100% there, but I'm getting pretty damn close. And I go, I've had a great life, and I have, lived abundantly, and I am putting money away to retire in a few years and to buy my dream home, and I'm moving towards it. And that's what this card is about, is enjoying the fruits of your labor. So the Six of Coins is success, but a deep desire to be successful through your commitment to your passion, whatever that is, and using your intuition and your tenacity to move towards attaining that. Here is the simple truth of life. If you are making money doing your passion of what you love, you will attract wealth. If you're in, oh God, I just got to make a living and pay the bills and I hate my job, then you're never going to be successful. Okay? And that's a hard truth, but it's the truth. There's so many people that take a job that they despise just because their family conditioning is like, okay, that's what's practical to do. And then they're miserable. And that actually kind of included my own family. My parents were, of course, talented musicians. And my dad, wonderful man, and he meant well. But my dad, made his success, but he loved science. But he made his success as an engineer. So he said to me, Jim, you're a 4.0 student. You need to pick a practical career. You need to be an engineer. You need to be a doctor. You need to be a lawyer. And I'm going, God, if I had to sit at a desk my whole life being a lawyer or being a doctor, I hated science. It wasn't my thing. I was an artist. And so then my dad was like, well, then you need to be practical and be a college professor. And so I go, well, okay, at least with that, I'm doing what I love. I could be a professor of music, doing what I love, or a professor of drama. So that was sort of practical. And then, like I said, I think I mentioned that I reached my goal and became a college professor and hated it. And I realized that I need to own my own business. And nobody was thinking that way. People in the 40s and 50s went to work for somebody else. There wasn't a lot of people that owned their own businesses. Now we're in a time period where more and more people have home-based businesses and things like that. It's a different time period. So I can't blame my dad. My dad was of a different era, and he did amazingly well, and I'm super proud of everything he accomplished. But, that wasn't right for me, and I had to change and, how I see things and so forth. So this card is, doing your passion will bring you the success you want. And then you can enjoy your abundance and a good life. And that's what this distinguished, handsome gentleman is doing. He's got beautiful clothes. He's got a beautiful home. It's lush. We see the beautiful landscaping, the beautiful flowers. It's full of life. And success is about life, isn't it? We want to be able to enjoy life. And if we don't have the finances to do that, our life is mediocre. Who wants to live, in a rundown studio apartment their whole life? You know what I'm saying? We have choices to move us out of that no matter where we're starting from. And, what is successful to one person is also not successful to another. One of my friends is their dream is to live in a cold climate up in the mountains. And I go, that would be my worst nightmare. And that's okay. Everybody's different. And my dream is like, I would want to have a Queen Anne Victorian house on the ocean, or maybe in the South. Like maybe I want to go back to Savannah, Georgia or something like that. And someone goes, oh my God, I would never want to live there. I want to live in Vegas or whatever. It's okay. Everybody's different. And so your version of success might be different than someone else's. And it's your job to figure out what is your version of success and what brings you passion in your own life. And everybody's different. And that's what makes the world interesting. Now to another challenging negative card of the suit of coins, and that is the 7 of coins, failure. And failure is connected to worry. If you are in a constant state of worry, you are going to attract negativity to you. So we see this, woman of some horrible workhouse factory. You see the ashes, you see the coal, you see she's barely getting by and has enough to live on and living in this horrible, ashy, dark, smelly condition. And her only thing on her mind is, what if I fail? What if I lose my job? And she is creating a state of constant anxiety and constant drama. The 7 of discs is fear of failure. And it's based on maybe a past thing that happened that was traumatic and we stay looped in it. Maybe we lose our job. And now we get a new job and we're saying, well, what if I lose this one too? Maybe we have a relationship that we failed in and it just wasn't the right relationship. But we think because we failed, we're never going to find love. That's failure. What if we have debt and we're focusing so much on the debt that we just keep attracting more debt and we never get out of debt? That's an example of failure. Maybe we have a physical condition that is challenging. Maybe we're suffering from asthma, like this woman works in a coal factory, so maybe she has breathing problems. And then she's thinking, what if I get tuberculosis? What if I get asthma? What if I pass out? What if I starve? And she's so caught in fear. And when you're caught in fear, you're not aligned with I am God, or I am co-creating with God. There's no spiritual trust. There's no spiritual understanding. And that's the problem. When you shift it to I am God also, and the universe is now supporting me to get me out of this shitty condition of working in this coal mine where I can't breathe, and bringing a new idea that I could follow to get me out of this situation to something better. And maybe, someday she hits rock bottom and she's sitting, she goes, God, all I really want to do is just sit by the fire and knit. And she goes, wait a second, I'm a good knitter. Maybe I could start looking for a job of knitting beautiful scarves and make money off that. That might be a better idea. And then all of a sudden she walks by a little woman's shop and they need a knitter. And all of a sudden she's out of this horrible situation into a better position. And then maybe while she's at the shop there and she's making scarves, she realizes, well, what if someday I can own my own little shop? And then she works towards that, and now she's a business owner. She's moved up the ladder. And maybe she meets a gentleman that's also an entrepreneur that owns a shop, and they merge together, and now they're, tycoons owning a big mall or something. You see what I'm getting at? Like, it's about, like, you have to change your thinking and your trust to get out of this anxiety situation. It's very fascinating with me being an Aquarius and being very mental that this was my challenge in early part of life. I suffered from anxiety disorder by that. Some of it was caused by, tragedies in my life, and that caused fear. But a lot of it was also a predisposition to getting too mental and not having spiritual awareness. And so I would make myself sick. I would be playing victim. I remember calling up my friends and crying like, oh God, I don't know how, I'm going to pay my bills, and what if this happens? And, pity, pity, pity party. And I would, get to a point where I got so sick from my anxiety, I couldn't even leave my house, or I would go out and try to, live, and I couldn't. I remember having some toxic friends that were around me that also pushed those buttons of fear. And then I think, I just want to go out with a friend. And then I would have a panic attack and run home. And I realized that part of what was really happening is, yes, I was in a mental loop, but also at the time I was hanging around people that weren't serving my highest good and making me even more anxious. And it was, when I finally kind of went inward and started to reframe my brain, I was able to see, wow, I am surrounded by really toxic, negative, people, and I need to get these people out of my life. And you know what? As soon as I got them out of my life, I was able to replenish them with people that supported my career and helped me move forward, and new teachers and new people that taught me new things. And I learned so much. I learned how, for example, computers and stuff. I learned how to design websites. I learned how to use AI to create this beautiful tarot deck. I learned how to be a writer and to self-publish. And what I'm getting at is you have to get out of your mind and worry and fear of failure to move forward. You have to reframe what you're putting in your mind. And you have to connect with your higher self of, I am God also. Therefore, everything I need is made available to me. Those Gen Xers out there will remember Susie and the Banshees and their version of the Beatles song, Dear Prudence. And this card, the Eight of Coins, is prudence. So what does prudence mean? Prudence means the ability, before moving forward, to use caution. This person is judging the situation. She is using physical caution and carefulness. She is not going to act impulsively, but weigh out dangers to be safe and aware before proceeding. She is proceeding with caution and not impulsiveness. And here we see this lady, this beautiful lady, in a window, and we see outside the dangerous electrical storm. And maybe there's something that's supposed to happen that evening to her that could be a positivity for her life. Maybe she's met her soulmate and they're supposed to go on a date. But maybe it's just the timing's not right tonight. And she's like, would it be smart for me to go out in a electrical rainstorm when I'm also maybe a little tired and depleted, and to get soaking wet during a time period before, in the 1800s, before penicillin, where people got consumption or people got sick quickly? She's like, no, maybe as much as I want to be with this new gentleman, maybe I need to wait for spring or for a better time period. And that waiting and that caution's going to pay off. This is about not running into something impulsively without thinking it through. This is the people that pull this card. A perfect example are people that are looking for quick get rich schemes, and they just put their money into something they don't know anything about and then lose a bunch of money. These people who pull this card tend to be gullible. I get so many actors that have come to me that have been trying to become successful actors, and they've been the victim of some scheme of somebody saying, hey, give me $2,000 and I'll be your agent or something, and then they take their money and run. And this is about learning. Well, yes, you need an agent, but you need to learn the business. You need to be a little patient to learn about how do you approach an agent and what agencies are legit and what do you look for and what do you do. People that are impulsive usually create more drama for themselves and mistakes. A model who goes out to a location where they don't know the person and they say, let's take a nude photo or something, and it turns out to be some kind of a porn scam. That's another example. Someone who meets someone online that tells them, for dating, and they never met. And they the person says all the right things and he thinks, oh, I'm falling in love. And they go meet a complete stranger and then get kidnapped or murdered. Okay, that is not using prudence, not using caution. So it's about, taking a little time to say, okay, I'm making a game plan for my life. And what's, let's weigh things out. I remember when I was starting college, it was very interesting to me. I was a very successful concert pianist and won international piano competitions. And when it came ready to go to college, I got into Juilliard in New York. I got into USC, and I got into Cal State Fullerton and other schools. And I had to weigh and say, what is really best for the kind of life I want? At the time, I was in a happy relationship with my partner that lived in Anaheim near Disneyland, which was near Cal State Fullerton. Cal State Fullerton had an amazing school. And I thought about, yes, Juilliard might be on paper the most, the best music school in the world, but I go, do I like New York? Do I want to, have to take subways and deal with congestion of New York and snow? And I go, you know what, that's not me. And I had to weigh that and use prudence and let me take a step back before I make a decision. Another school I was looking at was USC, and USC is an excellent music school, but I was like, okay, even with a scholarship, this school's like almost $50,000-$60,000 a year. Do I want to go into that much debt? And would I get a better education there than I would at Cal State Fullerton? And I feel like I made the right decision. I had the best teachers and the best education. I made the right decision, but I took time to figure that out by using prudence. Another thing is when I quit my university position and was forming my own business, I said, okay, how do I do this safely? And that meant I had to do some things I didn't want to do, but I did them temporarily. I said, okay, I'll go take a church music job, and I hated working in churches, but I did it because I knew it would get me to my goal faster. I weighed the options. Would it be safer for me to have a day job and work at a church, or I could be a performer and go into LA and make maybe some more money, but working late at night and driving freeways at 2 a.m. and putting wear and tear on my car? Which one is the better situation? And that's what being prudent is about weighing your options and making correct and healthy decisions from taking your time and using your intuition and, doing some analytical study before you move forward. One of my archetypes through my life is that of the pirate. I've always loved pirate energy, even as a kid. My first bedroom as a child in Huntington Beach was Pirates of the Caribbean, and I loved this idea of, being a little bit bad and, finding treasure and going on adventures. And there was something sexy about being a pirate too, is, being rebellious. And it's interesting that I had a lot of family background with pirates. It was interesting that my family, on my dad's side, came from the Bahamas into the South. And, I lived in areas that were pirate colonies. And that was a theme of my life. I find it interesting as a kid. My happiest memories as a child was when we moved to California was like, if I can just make it to summer, I get to go back to Key West and, see my uncles and be on a tropical beach and go swimming to pirate ships and go see pirate forts. And that was like little Jimmy, being the adventurer. I loved Treasure Island. Later on, when I was a teenager, I was working at Disneyland. I had an annual pass. And my favorite romantic area of Disneyland was New Orleans Square. And my partner and I would go on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and then we go have a romantic dinner at the Blue Bayou. And, there was this whole kind of, creating, gain and fun from being rebellious and just saying, I'm going to go after my goals. Later on, I joined a spiritual community called the Crimson Circle, and one of their archetypes is we call ourselves pirates. And, kind of just like not putting up with people's victimhood and bullshit. And we're going to be, go-getters. Also with this specific card, there's an energy of Taurus people. They're good at money. And this card kind of reminds me of my cousin. I have a cousin named Pedro who's a Taurus who actually looks like this guy, kind of this, pirate guy. And he's been successful in his life and what he's attracted to him. But there's sort of with this card a little bit of kind of like being rebellious to get what you want, taking risks. And that's what this card represents. So the 9 of Dis is gain, physical profits and benefits, creating more abundance for yourself, letting go of debt, strengthening important relationships and positive habits. The pirates know their allies. It's like, okay, let's get the most powerful people. We're going to raid. We're going to get our money. And there's like strategy involved. And not that we have to do an evil strategy or that we have to, rob a bank. But it's like, can we pull our people together? So with this, the card with this is sort of like, I'm going to connect with the right people to get where I want to go. And it's also, I'm going to do it my own way. And it might not be the way everybody else does. And that was definitely me. People said to me, oh my God, during COVID, your business is going to shut down and you're not going to make it and you should be more practical. And I said, you know what, I know what to do. I'm going to expand internationally with teaching online. I'm going to try new things. And I know people that know how to do that. I'm going to learn from them. And I kind of did my gain network and surrounded myself with powerful people and moved up the ladder, so to speak, and that's what this is about, is to be that rebellious pirate and go after your dreams and, have that kind of nobody gets in my way, but to do it in a way that you don't have to be abusive. There's a way to, like I think of Jack Sparrow, he had, this charm about him that he was able to get people to do what he wanted just by his sexual magnetism and his intellect, and using his brain. And there's wit to this card, and entrepreneurship and new ideas and it's a great card. And so I kind of love this pirate energy and, of this card and hope you do too. And so like you can get into gain anytime you want, but the way you get into gain is by surrounding yourself with a network to help you. It's going to be faster. You need powerful people to show you the way to success. And now the final coin of the suit, the 10 of coins or the 10 of dis. And this is what we're all striving for: wealth, the attainment of everything we need, physical prosperity, abundance, and wealth. Wealth coming in from the universe effortlessly without even trying. And when we are in wealth consciousness, it doesn't matter how the wealth comes in. It's just there. We just shine our light and the wealth manifests. And it doesn't matter how it does. And we don't worry about the how. We just know it's coming in. So you can get an inheritance, or maybe you expand your business, or wealth can be miraculous healing, or people that can make your life more enjoyable. So there's lots of aspects of wealth. What does wealth mean to you? Wealth for some people just can be in, having time to do the things they want. That's wealth. Being able to be in nature, to just be in their garden and to be able to just have time to do nothing can be wealth. Physical prosperity in your health, like are you in radiant health? That's wealth. If you are sick and diseased, how can you enjoy your wealth if you're miserable physically? So wealth is a combination of many things. Abundance to people can mean many things. It could be not just about luxury, but it could also be about the environment of where you live. Are the people around you a high energy, or is it toxicity? When wherever you live, some people are charged by the ocean, like me. Some people are charged by the desert. Some people love the mountains. Some people love cold climates. Some people like hot climates. We're all different, and true wealth is the ability to live where you want to live and to make that happen. I think of my sister who is, living her dream life in Hawaii and, in a beautiful paradise. I think of, me just loving where I live here in Long Beach with the history of the city around all of these amazing buildings of craftsman mansions. And, I live, down the street from where Clark Gable lived, and, and all this history. And that's something that I'm interested in, and having everything I need close to me and living in a mild climate where I go, I'm not living in 20 below zero in the Midwest or something. I live where, in an area that, today I'm wearing a bathing suit and I'm hanging out on my terrace and just enjoying life. And those are choices we can make. And are you choosing wisely to bring this wealth to you? Wealth can also mean time to do the things you want. Also, wealth can be things like, do you allow yourself a beautiful vehicle to get around? Are you enjoying the best food, or do you get caught up in, I better economize and buy the canned beans instead of the organic beans that are more expensive? You know what I'm saying? It's about, there's a consciousness to wealth. And if you are in abundance consciousness and allowing that and co-creating with spirit, you are going to have wealth. And if you are in fear or lack consciousness, you're never going to have wealth. So all of the different changes we make in our life, if we make the positive changes, will lead us to the 10 of disc, wealth and prosperity.